Indiana Jones, It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. The Indiana Jones Minute.
Welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute. This is the podcast where we give a champagne toast to Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, one very creepy leer at a time. I'm the Admiral, Pete Mummert.
I am Tom Taylor.
I'm Gerald Christopher Marcus Porter.
And if you couldn't tell from that laugh, we are joined for the first time this season by the legendary Paul Sullivan, who you probably know from Sully Baseball or from previous seasons of the Indiana Jones Minute. Welcome back, Paul.
I can't be happier to be back. I'm so happy to hear Kevin Murphy singing and bringing us in. You know, let's. I got to tell you that I, for the second half of the Temple of Doom year, it became part of my day that I would walk my kids to school, and it took almost exactly an episode of the Indiana Jones Minute to walk back.
Oh, nice.
So, like, I drive, hey, have fun, guys. Make sure you study for the test. Okay. Earbuds in, Indiana Jones, Indiana, and I walk up a hill back home, and it's a podcast. And so that to me is like, you guys remind me of taking my kids to school. So there you go.
Well, this is a very appropriate scene because this is a minute 16, which begins with a young woman in school.
He's the best. He's the best at transitions. You're the best at transitions.
Steering the ship.
Minute 16 begins with a young woman placing a note on Indy's desk, and it ends with an office filled with a lot of angry students.
All right, so help me out here, Pete. The very, very beginning line of this minute, Indy says, next week, Egyptology starting with the excavation of Neucrates.
Uh-huh.
So is that the same Neucrates that was the only Greek colony in Egypt founded in the 6th or 7th century BC during the Egyptian 26th dynasty?
Or...
The city was a trading post for the Greeks in Egypt?
No, actually, you're exactly right. If you've ever been to the British Museum, they have a special exhibition dedicated to Neucrates. Because it was a big deal in the late 1800s when Flinders Petrie discovered it, because there was an ancient Greek tale that had just been translated in the 1800s, and they came out with a big publication that it like really lavishly illustrated, and it sort of, people say it became the inspiration for Cinderella because it was a tale of a Greek slave girl and her slipper. And it like really captured the public's imagination, and that was like sort of like today, that was everybody looking for the lost Ark of the Covenant. In the 1800s, everybody was looking for Neucrates because it was based, in this town where this story was set that everybody knew.
Crazy.
Huh.
But this young woman leaves a note on Indy's desk, and I'm wondering, what do you guys think the note says?
Love you.
Yeah, I think that note is a note that is blackmailing Indy, and it's from the lovely Coronado family. The Coronados of Spain.
We know what you did.
Yeah, the lovely Coronados of Spain. I think that's exactly what that is.
Do you think it may be saying like, I know where Short Round is because he's not at all mentioned?
Yeah. Shorty wants to know why you won't call him back.
Yeah. Shorty's stuck at the Port Authority.
He said you're going to pick him up where you've been.
Terrible. You were his best friend.
He got reunited with the elephant, who's his best friend.
I hope so.
Yeah. They're in the circus together.
Hey, I have a massive Barnett bull minute here. Okay, second three.
Mm-hmm. Wait, we got to let's set this. Sully, are you at all aware of what school they're in right now?
Yeah, it's one of the finest schools in California. It's Marshall College, and it's not.
Okay, now that's funny. But
yes.
Accurate for a previous movie.
We discovered in the last couple of minutes that for some damn reason they're at Barnett College now even though they are, which I guess is in New Jersey. Was it New Jersey or it's Fairfield, New York?
Yeah, New York.
Yeah.
Well, my parents are from Fairfield, Connecticut. In fact, my father's uncle, my great uncle, was the first selectman, which is basically the mayor of Fairfield, Connecticut for 24 years.
My sister lives in Fairfield.
Yeah, and there's still a Sullivan's flower shop there, which is,
Oh, awesome.
So, and the name of the government building is the Sullivan Building. And the name of the high school championship that's played there is the Sullivan Bowl. So, when I go to Fairfield, I have a little bit of pull.
So what you're saying is it's baloney that he's at Barnett College because there's no Fairfield, New York. That's what you're saying. I accept that.
Is
okay,
that? I mean, that's well. It's okay. So here's my little piece of bogusness. If you look at second 3. There's this jock that's passing Indy's desk. He's probably on the lacrosse team or, the coxswain crew or something like that.
I hate him.
And he's sporting a varsity Letterman sweater. Guess what letter is on the sweater? It's not a B. No.
See, you know what? Can we just call? I mean, it is. I mean, I keep saying this, but it is Lobot. It's if there's nothing. Pete, I know you're going to say there's that sign on the building that says Barnett College, but I'm saying that that's either like a prank that some kids played or something. Let's change the name of the school, or that's like a specific school on the property of Marshall College or something. I don't know.
Time out for a second. Because I got my undergrad degree at New York University, but where I went to school was Tisch School of the Arts.
Right.
And there's certain college. There was like the College of Arts and Sciences of New York University. So could it be this? It was the name, so the Stern College of Business at New York University is the business school there. So could it be that this is a college within the larger university?
Except it's Marshall College. It's not Marshall University.
All right, I'm out.
Marshall College University.
I'm out.
Well, no, and the classroom's identical. That was the other thing.
It is identical. The point of the scene is that it's the exact same place.
Yeah. No,
I hate everybody.
No, the only reason it makes sense to move it to Barnett is so you can get away from the West Coast. That is literally the only way you would move it.
No, it's true. well, listen. Tommy, everybody, I'm writing fact on the chalkboard. and I'm underlining it.
Thank you.
So that's what's up.
Yeah.
What I wish they did is I wish that when he wrote fact, he paused at ACT, and so in the class kind of because he can't spell anything.
Yeah.
Fact is such a short word, and he still messes it up.
Well, I'm going to underline something else, and it is not hard to believe that Marion was just a child. Because Indy gives some of these women really creepy leers as they walk out of the room. And he's pushing 40 in the movie, and in real life he's mid-40s.
Yeah.
And it's a little creepy.
It's second 8 through 10. Indy is making he's making flirty googly eyes with Susie Cute Skirt right there in the and he's doing it in front of Marcus, Yahweh, and everyone.
Yep.
Now, were we just to play devil's advocate? Are we sure that he's not he's not looking directly at
Marcus? No, I watched
doing that. Dude. He's like, "Hey, you and I are about to talk."
Pause second 11.
Really?
Okay. Ione Sky is looking back at him. She's got the she's got the red thing going on there with the big old grin. Yeah. And actually, she reminds me of Amy Irving. Actually, Spielberg's
ex.
My God!
Yeah,
Spielberg's ex, who he she had to give all the grosses of ET to her, and he happens to pick someone who looks like Amy Irving who's flirting back.
All
please. Check, please.
Pieces of Reese's.
But he's giving the googly eyes to more than one of these women. Like if you can watch his eyes, he gives them to like 3
And the other one hit the other one. The girl in the green sweater hits the ball back to him. I feel like it's crystal skull clear. What's going on here?
Don't say that.
But by the way, the last time we had googly eyes, it was Mo and Joe googly eyes.
That's right.
In the Temple of Doom, who were hanging from the ceiling. Yeah.
Well, Indy says here, he says he'll be in his office for the next hour and a half. Now that's very different than Wednesday, but not Thursday.
Yeah, but he's already wrong. He's already wrong. He's not going to be in his office in the next hour and a half.
And he knows he's not going to be in his office for the next hour and a half as soon as he says this.
He should just say, I'll give it a try. We'll see what happens. I'll sit there for a couple minutes.
No, this is a man who hates his actual job.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to keep me being the, we're constantly comparing every movie we've ever seen to Raiders, but this scene is obviously begging for it because they're doing the exact same thing from Raiders. Having Indy present Marcus with a win with like, hey, look what I got, is much, much, much less interesting than, damn it, Marcus, I had it in my hand.
Yeah.
I got to go to Marrakesh. Like, the scene kind of accentuates kind of like a basic difference between these two movies.
But do you know what? But can I defend it for this minute? What this is it's a button for the beginning of the film. Like if the whole sequence, I don't know what you guys talked about, or even what your thoughts were on the whole, this whole story, with River Phoenix and everything, and the train and everything. That's like,
I remember
the whole point of some of these is the beginning is like its own little Indiana Jones film, whether it's the Mayapur Temple or Lao She, or in this one, Finding the Cross. And I think more so than either of the other two, it ends with Indy did it. Because he didn't do it. Belloc took the headpiece.
Yeah.
He gets on board Lao She's plane, and he doesn't get the diamond or anything. And this time, it's like, we're going to watch Indy get a win because it kind of buttons up the beginning. And I actually, I like that we've seen him lose in Meet Marcus, and here we are, we get to see what it's like for a win. And to be fair, the stuff he brought, they are nice from Raiders. The stuff he brought, and they were worth at least a ticket to Marrakesh when you stop and think about it, which,
You know what's really difficult? I agree with you, Sully. I agree with you. It's a turn, and it lets you know, it's like, hey, we know this guy, we know this scene, we know this transaction, but hey, it's movie 3 now. He won one. Marcus, I did it.
This is the very first time he's won in all 3 movies, too.
but what's interesting is I watched it, and what Marcus says is, this will find a place of honor in our Spanish collection. And I'm just like, really? Like, I'm deflated. I'm like, what? So this is going to be the 4th floor geology building at Barnett?
Yeah.
Like, what? I'm sitting there yelling at the screen going, that cross belongs on the 2nd floor, top of the staircase in the Coronado household. Where your crucifix would go.
Yeah.
And also, after all of that, after getting he's been chasing this his whole life and everything, he's like, we'll discuss my honorarium over dinner. It's like he actually is just in it for, like, the cash. He's like,
fortune and glory.
Even as a kid, he was like, one day I'll sell this to a museum and it'll be awesome.
Fortune and glory.
He's just wetting his beak. Yeah. It's just, what's the difference between Marcus, Marcus and the fake Belloc guy, what's his name, Panama Hat, and you're like, they're both paying, and I get it, one goes in a museum. And you're like, it's just, At Barnett College? The Cross of Coronado?
That's not even a safety school for me. There was Chico's,
not even a place.
Chico State, Eastern Tennessee University, and Barnett. Come on, if you can't get into that, that's total just a jock school anyway.
Yeah,
but there's an interesting interchange here, and Indy says, "You know how long I've been looking for that?" And Brody says, "All your life," and he goes, "All my life," and that's either not true because he's not. He's a like 16. I guess he's 13 officially, but he's like 16 when he first finds the Cross of Coronado. But that got me wondering, has Indy been obsessed with the Cross of Coronado since he was a little kid? And if so, what are the odds that he would happen to show up on the day that Fedora and his men were unearthing the Cross of Coronado, unless Panama Hat and Fedora had been grooming Indy since childhood to take over the business?
Oh my God.
I think it's when you're looking at him at a point when he's learning that this is something he wants to do. Like, I want to do it. And to say all my life, it's like I don't think it's been the main thing on his mind. Like, I've been writing a book about the 1972 World Series for the last 3 years, and if I finally get it done, it's like, yeah, it took me 5 years to write. I haven't been sitting like a Benedictine monk for 5 years, so and then Raleigh Fingers came in. I took some time off. He took time off to go deal with Lauchet, and then he had to take some time off dealing with Abner Ravenwood, and it turns out he had a daughter.
They're saying since the beginning that he first developed an interest in archaeology, I guess, is sort of
Well, see, I think Fedora was cultivating him, and I think I'm wondering if Fedora was bankrolling the Lauchet diamond.
See, I don't have a problem with any of that. That's fine.
And then Blofeld was also Fedora's boss.
Well, but that would check it out. That would explain why Indy's ship, his yacht, is named the Coronado.
Oh yeah, it's the Coronado.
That was his boat. That's right. What I wondered though is is there anything else that Indy has been looking for his entire life?
Love?
Tail.
Yeah. He has no trouble getting that.
Right.
He keeps finding it though.
Yeah. Well, so if he finally acquires the crucifix of Coronado, like what will he look for the second half of his life?
Mutt?
Oh.
You know what, though? This is the thing. This is what's bugging me. There's something about, like, we always talk, hey, Indy's making it up as he goes by the seat of his pants and everything. He's all scruffy. He's all beat up. He's just a more interesting character when he's losing and like he's pissed off about it and stuff. And there's something about him. I mean, yeah, of course he can get a win. That's fun. Like I don't have a problem with this scene. I don't have a problem with him actually getting the cross. But I'm comparing it to the other scene. It's like, wow, this is what I hate. I hear that there are all these stories. I keep hearing hints about that there's some other, expanded universe story about him going back and getting he actually does finally get the idol or something. And I reject that completely.
Yeah.
That is it's a loss. It's a big loss, and you should just eat it. That's his loss.
Yeah.
I don't like that. So thank you.
But you also keep in mind one thing, that a reason for this scene in particular is that we all saw Raiders is a unique film in terms of American culture for this reason. I may have mentioned this when we were talking about Temple of Doom, but the significance of Raiders, other than the fact that it's awesome, for many people it was the first film they had on VHS, because they dropped the price for Raiders before the Christmas of 1984. So everyone in their stocking, even atheist kids in their stocking, had a copy of Raiders of the Lost Ark, because it only cost $20. Usually a videotape cost $80 then, because they weren't trying to sell them. They were trying to have them be rented all the time. And so everyone had that. It became the biggest selling videotape in the world ever. It broke every record when it came out. And because it's so rewatchable, if Jaws was sold for $19 or Star Wars or whatever, they would have been the first, but everyone had Raiders and everyone memorized every scene. And so Temple of Doom was so different that this scene was like, yeah, we're doing Raiders again. We tried something different. Anything goes, but we're doing Raiders again. And you know what? We're going to go back to the classroom and Marcus is going to walk up the same hallway and he's going to have another scene. Right. So there's a sense of familiarity. So there was a sense of, I guess the undercurrent is we're reuniting with old friends. So we're happy to see you, Marcus. We're happy that you're back doing the thing. In Crystal Skull, they had Jim Broadbent, of which I don't know if you know who Chris Regan is, but he's a brilliant writer used to be with The Daily Show. Now he writes for Family Guy, and he was one of Shatner's ghostwriters on one of his books. And when he saw Crystal Skull, he said, "Why hire Jim Broadbent? Why not just have a CGI Dan O'Malley?" But there's a sense of you preferred Raiders. Guess what? We're doing Raiders. We're just going to do Raiders again. Yeah, we're doing Raiders, but with Sean Connery, and so there's a sense of seeing, Marcus be happy. And it's like a reuniting with friends. I remember I saw this film. I'm jumping around a little bit, but I saw this film opening weekend at a movie theater in Redwood City, California, and there was applause. when you saw Marcus
Yeah.
walking up the
Yeah.
hallway.
Oh, sure.
There was applause when you saw Sala was like, it might as well have been Joe Montana walking in.
It was like the Fonz just walked in. Yeah.
And so I mean, it was just an erupt. But I remember the shot of him walking up to the classroom, which was, I guess, the minute before this one here. The place burst into applause because, and I think the undercurrent was, this is what we want to see. We want to see the same movie, but with Sean Connery. And so I think that having him smile, and this is, I'm actually, when I saw I was getting a Marcus minute, I was a little nervous because Marcus veers off from the cool character he was in Raiders, but he's very close to the character he was in Raiders in this scene, in that he's a confidant of Indy. He's he's some of the Indy trust, that he knows Indy's life. When he understands, this is more than just a gold cross. He understands what this means. This is the equivalent of, I'm going to go baseball here, but like when a veteran finally gets his World Series ring, Carlos Beltran got his World Series ring. But, yep, I got it. I've been wanting this for so long. I've come so close, and I got it.
Although, to be fair, Brody does. He's in Raiders. He's totally fine. He's like smiling about it. He's polishing an apple on his lapel and everything. He's like, it's cool.
He sees how crushed his friend is. He's not going to be like,
right. But that's an interesting scene.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's there's a lot going on there.
Well, there's something here that's strange, and it's maybe a little foreshadowing of Marcus. When he walks out of the room following Indy, and Indy goes, "Your treat," he goes, "Yes, my treat." And I'm like, whoa, what just happened? Yeah, it's really it's all columned up. If you go, it's really strange. It doesn't sound anything like Marcus at all. Nothing.
Well, I don't know.
No, it doesn't. It's weird. It's a weird line.
He's just infatuated with the crosses.
Yeah.
Holding. I think he's got
Alright.
the gold lust too.
and that they both get a treat. Indy's gonna get some dough and some champagne, and he's got this cross, and he's gonna hit on anyone who didn't want up shacking up with Indy.
The champagne thing is throwing me though. That's the only, because I think of Indy, I think of like a hard whiskey drinking guy, and the champagne is the drink that shows up in every movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
fun. Like,
It's always celebrated.
I don't think of Indy as a champagne guy, but he really is a champagne guy.
Champagne wishes and caviar dreams.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's what they celebrated in Raiders with.
Yeah.
And that's what he got. He got poisoned with it at Club Obi-Wan.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I have a great question, actually.
I'm sure.
Marcus calls him Indy right here. Is this the first time we've ever heard Marcus call him Indy?
No, he called him Indy in his house. But, Marion's
sure?
Marion's the least of your problems. Believe me, Indy.
Ah.
Does he say Indy?
He doesn't say Dr. Henry Jones Jr.
I don't think he says his name. I think he says, Marion's least of your worries right now. Believe me.
He said, believe me, Indy.
Are you sure? I don't want to have to fight about this.
Have you even seen Raiders?
I'm familiar with it.
Called you out.
I had the audiobook thing, not the audiobook, the soundtrack, record, the thing, and it's all burned into my head. No, I don't know.
Oh, wow.
And then we have all these people not calling him Indy, as all these students outside yelling Dr. Jones, Professor Jones.
Yeah.
That's right. It's interesting at second 56 when Indy enters his office and is deluged by students. He looks distraught, and he turns his head and he sees the girl on the other side of the door, and he actually really freaks out. He's like, "Oh no, not the one I impregnated."
Right.
I mean, I'm dead serious. And she's wearing a green bow in her hair, which obviously is a symbol of fertility.
Obviously.
Of course.
I think, and going back to your previous question here, Pete, what the note is, the note that was dropped off, I think that's a subpoena for like a paternity test. The note that was dropped off on Indy's desk.
Yeah. I think you might be right.
The girl with the green bow is kind of insane. Like the scene is slathered on a little thick. Like it's like you can hear Spielberg being like, "Hey, remember when all the girls were in love with Indiana Jones in the first one? Well, just like even though it's 100% unnatural, like he's standing right there, just kind of like moon at him, just kind of like you're about to fall asleep on your feet or something. It's very unnatural and weird.
It's weird that these same students go from all being kind of gaga-eyed over him to 30 seconds later absolutely being livid.
Yeah. Well, some of them are already livid.
One has a Barnett College notebook, by the way.
I think that this is going to be kind of sacrilegious because I actually do like Last Crusade. But there's the scene in the office reminds me a little of 1941 in that Spielberg is really good at doing action scenes and sprinkling some comedy, or even doing some drama and sprinkling some comedy. But when he has to do a flat-out comedy scene, it sometimes is like you're laying it on almost too thick. And like this could have been I like the idea that, hey, guess what? Indy actually has office hours, and he has tons of papers he hasn't graded. He has tons of messages he hasn't there because he's running around, capturing things that he doesn't want to be there. And if I bet on the page, this read as kind of a funny little witty, this is kind of the little reality that he has, and he would rather, I'm skipping ahead to the next minute a little bit here, but I think that this is, look, I'm a huge Spielberg fan, obviously, and he's, I'm going to say something really brave. He's a good filmmaker, but I know, but there's one of his weak spots. If you have a batter and it's like you could bust him inside, he'll always pop up. Where Spielberg, you can bust him inside and have him pop up is do a straight comedic scene, just a funny scene, and more often than not, it comes up a little forced because it's probably something on the set that seems really, really funny. Like we're all just yelling, just keep yelling louder. But when you watch it, it's like, you know what? A little, bringing that back a little, making it more real. Instead of in the next minute they're literally pounding on the door like Night of the Living Dead, trying to get into his office there. And do you what the scene should have been like? I'll tell you exactly what the scene should have been like. Like this just hit me right now was when Chief Brody's trying to take care of stuff, and Polly is like, the kids are karateing the picket fences, and and Harry with the bad hat comes out, the kids with a class, and he's like, I'll get you, and he goes to the art place, and the guy's complaining about beach balls. That was very funny and organic. This seemed like, I want to do a really kind of wacky, sort of almost Ernst Lubitsch, Billy Wilder scene going on here, and that's not his. It feels phony, and it's a shame because it was a chance for a nice sort of, hey, guess what? Indiana Jones has a life where he has to grade papers and he has to get back to students.
Yeah, I have a fear, and we're only on minute 16 here, but I have a fear that this movie, Last Crusade, might be a little comic booky.
A little broad, is it, Jerry?
Yeah, it's exactly what you're saying there, Sully. It's like it's overwrought and overdone and a little forced and a little like, say, there's the bad guy. I mean, it just like, here's the part where all the women moon and swoon over Indiana Jones. I mean, it is a little shoehorned. It doesn't really have the subtlety. But I will say, speaking of subtlety, did anybody see Second 58, the woman who's standing in front of the door and she's wearing the hieroglyph sweater?
Yeah.
Oh, God, that's amazing.
There's a guy with a red Darth Vader lightsaber, too.
You're kidding.
The guy to the left of the donkey on her sweater has that red lightsaber that comes out of Darth Vader's arm.
And E.T. is in the background, if you look very closely. Yeah. And there's a shark.
And C-3PO is his TA.
That sweater is amazing.
It is amazing.
Where would
really
you, like,
amazing.
I don't even know, like, was that knit by some super freak fan?
By Rick James, the super freak.
Yeah.
But is she wearing it because she knows next week is Egyptology?
Maybe. Yes. Oh, this whole thing? I just throw this on for any class.
Yeah. What is the name of this class? Is it like, obelisks for outfielders?
It seems like, general archaeologist rambling mumbo jumbo.
Stoneheads for boneheads. I mean, what is the class called? Because
Yeah.
I mean, she's showing
I
up.
dig
with
archaeology.
Yeah, exactly. Propensities for antiquities.
Aw.
Hey.
You were on such a roll too, Joe.
He wrote it down and then he said it.
Actually, I didn't write that one down.
Aw.
That's fun. Thanks, Pete. It's like swatted the ball off the rim.
You give him Matumbo, just wave your finger in his face right there.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh.
Something's coming through the chalkboard.
Oh, hey.
Something's coming through the chalkboard. Coming over the wires. This just in, from Professor Christy Porter. Hey, Henry Jones Jr. is on Rate My Irresponsible Professor. Actually, he is. He's on my Rate My Professor 3 times. One where he's at Princeton. One where apparently he's at Marshall College in West Virginia. And Pete Diggett, one where he's at Indiana University.
Huh.
And let's see. This is what it says. The hottest professor out there. Stared at him the entire class, so I didn't get much done, but his office hours saved me. He also smells good.
Wow.
I don't buy that last part.
He might smell good in the classroom.
He smells good in the classroom. He probably smells like
cleans up
sort of
well.
like
musk.
Yeah, like leather, like a leather thing.
I'm just gonna leave that there.
I'm just gonna leave it. He smells like it's like a leather thing with like manly sage.
He's wearing Manly Sage by Chanel, so I don't know if that was anything.
Yes.
Well, Sully, you got to save us. Where can people find you to hear your podcast about baseball?
I'm actually posting a lot of new stuff going on. Just follow me at Sully Baseball on Twitter, because I'm going to be doing some new things with the podcast, including some more interactive stuff. And I have going to be doing a lot more vlogging, video podcasting. And Pete, I know you follow the podcast. Every year I do an in memoriam video, like the one from the Oscars.
Uh-huh.
I do it. I announce it every All-Star game. And man, we're already filled between Don Baylor and Roy Halladay and Bobby Dorr. There's always like, stop dying. I have enough footage.
Yeah.
So it's but you go to Sully Baseball on Twitter. You can follow me. Also, I produce. I'm not one of the talent, but I produce and edit a podcast on the Wondery Network called Real Crime Profile, where we break down all sorts of real life crimes and also popular crime shows with our hosts, including a pair of people with FBI background. So it's a pretty cool show as well. And I'm also featured on evidently every single Movie by Minute podcast. I just did Dark Knight Minute. It's sort of like it's.
Wow.
So one of these
nice.
days I'll sit down and do my own, and I'll have you guys show up. And I know the movie I would do.
Oh, awesome.
But I have to start making more. I got to play close to my vest, and also I have to get another job. So.
Well, and if you want to get close to our vest, come check us out on Facebook.
Whoa, I got a blind person who's calling for my help. I'm on Be My Eyes, the app.
Did
Be
Jerry
My
just
Eyes.
have a stroke? What just happened?
Yeah. You're just saying words.
I'm on the Be My Eyes app. Don't you guys
No,
have Be
Jerry.
My Eyes? You help like you can.
No.
No, we don't have
like
Be My Eyes. No.
For those of you,
That's
you
so
help
sad.
blind people.
Well, I'm sorry to hear Jerry.
Like you
Sure.
FaceTime with them and help
I
them.
know, Jerry. I know.
So who are you getting to replace Jerry on the show?
It's real good that you do that. Yeah, we got that other porter. We can just use her again.
Yeah, Christy, you're our only hope. And if you would like more hope and hopefully a little less blind helping, please join us back here tomorrow for minute 17 of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade here on the Indiana Jones Minute.
I have Be My Ears for deaf people. I have.